The ready meal industry sort of thrives on people being afraid to cook for themselves, or people thinking that things are a lot more complicated than they are. I'd never made a lasagna, and it was always one of those mythical things to me. You always buy it ready-made from the shop, or you go around your mum's and your mum makes it. Actually, a lasagna is a couple of layers of some meaty sauce with a couple of layers of pasta on top. That's what you're paying your 71 to 95p for. So I'm going to aim to make something a bit better than that for around the same price. You can turn it over and read the long list of ingredients on the back and you think, well, what's a firming agent when it's at home, or all the E numbers or the thickeners. Now, I've deemed most of that quite unnecessary for a basic lasagna. My lasagna is going to contain flour, oil, skim milk, water, mozzarella cheese, mince, onion, dried herbs, tomato puree, a stock cube and some lasagna sheets. Chop the onions, you want them quite fine so you haven't got big chunky bits of onion in your lasagna. And just a tablespoon of oil as well. Flip that on. There's a quick stir. Mix dried herbs. Chuck those in with the onion as well. The onions have started to soften, they don't need to be completely soft. Now I'm going to add the mince. Out comes that bit. Break that up slightly. Normally you'd use beef mince in a lasagna, but as I'm going to be eating this at the end of the day, I'm using pork. Put the kettle on to boil, that will be for my stock. Pop it into this little jug. 250 ml of water, and add my tomato puree to it. So it's about 145 grams. Top this up to make about half a litre. My first few lasagnas I made with cartons of chopped tomatoes, but it's just cheaper to get a carton of puree and just dilute it. It's double concentrated anyway, and that's still pretty thick. Pour that in here to make your sauce. And that is instantly one nice thick tomato sauce for your lasagna. To make my white sauce, I use a tablespoon of oil, 2 teaspoons of milk powder to make the equivalent of semi-skim milk, 1 tablespoon of flour to the oil, and mix them together on quite a low heat to make a paste. Oil is much cheaper than butter, so I mean when you're cooking on a very low budget, which I did for quite some time, you learn to appreciate the differences between using oil to cook and butter, using skim milk powder as opposed to fresh milk. It ends up as quite a thin sauce, but it thickens up as the heat brings it back together again. Right, now I just need to add the cheese to that. Chop the mozzarella into little pieces so it melts down. With a good bit of stirring, you've got a nice smooth white sauce. Mozzarella's melted in, and you'd never tell really that that was made with oil and skim milk powder. I mean, it's a perfect white sauce. I'm going to try and see if I can make 4 out of these. Any less and I'll be disappointed, any more will be a bonus. Just a layer of sauce, layer of pasta, layer of sauce. Doesn't matter if your sauce is quite runny because you're going to need all that to cook your pasta in. Another lasagna sheet on top. These lasagna sheets all come in all sorts of odd shapes, but they'll sort themselves out in the oven. Pop that down there. I'm just going to pop some extra white sauce in these. And there you go. We've got the basic value range lasagna. We've got one of mine there. I think they look fairly similar. You can tell they're both a lasagna, and I'm going to put them both in the oven and see how they turn out. 25 minutes. 25 minutes later, the oven's dinged. Ooh, smells good in here. So you can have this for 75 to 95p, depending where you shop. It's quite floppy. Or you can have a homemade free range lasagna for 98p. If you chose to use mince that wasn't free range, you'd bring the price down considerably because free range mince is a lot more expensive than anything else. When you see the two side by side, Well, I know which one I'd rather eat. 3p difference. And that one's bigger anyway, so you've got more of a bargain. This one's main ingredient was water, so I think my main ingredient is probably pork. So I think I win, by my own standards. It was last July actually that I wrote a post called Hunger Hurts. My son had gone to bed having had the last bit of pasta and tomato sauce out of the fridge,